Hello there, Johnny from Eurogamer here, and today I want to talk to you about Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Following on from the intriguing story teaser, a massive gameplay video was released this week showing exactly how conquering territory in Shadow of War works. There was loads of stuff to get excited about in the demo, but for the sake of time, I've knocked heads with the rest of the Eurogamer team and whittled it down to a list of 10 things we can't wait to try in Shadow of War. Number 1. Taking a fortress. Unsurprising really, given this was the main focus of the gameplay reveal, but also deserving, because taking over a fortress is a proper 3-tiered affair in Shadow of War. You swarm the gate, kill the war chiefs and reach the keep, then get inside and slaughter the overlord. It's a big challenge, and one I'm really looking forward to. I fell in love with territory claiming mechanics like this with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, but the fortress conquering in Shadow of War seems properly meaty. It also gives us a peek at the way territory is carved up in the game itself. The map is divided into a series of regions, each with its own overlord. Under their command are the strata of war chiefs, captains and followers you'll doubtless remember from Shadow of Mordor. Not entirely sure how many regions there are at this point, but I really do hope there's a lot of them. Number 2. Being betrayed. It feels a bit weird to say I'm looking forward to being betrayed in Shadow of War. Betrayal isn't really supposed to be fun, but then listen to this.
The bright Lord, I fought for you, bled for you, and you left me to die. But I was reborn with the power of the Dark Lord.
So yeah, as it turns out, your loyal soldiers can betray you. It looks like internal politics is as much a part of your own army as it is Sauron's in Shadow of War, and war chiefs you thought were loyal can end up facing you from the other side of the fence. This kind of addition to the Nemesis system is really encouraging. At points in Shadow of Mordor, the Nemesis system could be captivating. I still remember some of the worst enemies I had, from that one guy who wouldn't stop coming back from the dead, to the captain I was incapable of killing who used to deliberately wind me up about it. Having an enemy who used to be a trusted ally is surely only going to spice that up. Also, did you notice the fact Talion got called Bright Lord? As in, Sauron is the Dark Lord, Talion is the Bright Lord. Talk about elevating his status, that's intense. Some lore purists are really not going to be happy about that. Number 3. Commanding a cave troll. Now this is one of the things that got fans most excited in the cinematic announcement trailer. We knew you were going to build an army, we knew there were going to be cave trolls. Was it too much to hope you could recruit one and have it fight for you? Turns out no, because here's Talion getting chummy with this guy, Aslar the Demolisher. Aslar does all sorts of things in the demo. He makes an impassioned speech, he knocks down a gate, he gets burned to death, loads of stuff. Cave trolls really do seem to be making the most of their appearance in Shadow of War, leading neatly on to... Number 4. Fight a Welsh troll. Thanks to the enemy creation algorithm in Shadow of War, the overlords you fight are intended to be unique to each player, and that's all well and good, but listen to this one.
It's the Lord of Mordor himself, the Grave Walker. You've made a right mess, haven't you?
Now, is it me, or is that troll Welsh? If it is, I'll just have that one, please, because that is awesome. I like him a lot. I like hearing regional accents in games in general, but this is an especially nice inclusion given the subject matter. You likely know this already, but Tolkien based the language of Sindarin, spoken by the Grey Elves, on the Welsh language. Number 5. Smashing things up with a hammer. Okay, so in the last video I made on Shadow of War, I hypothesised that Celebrimbor might not be around in Shadow of War because he gets swept up in a black mist right after the new Ring of Power is forged. As it turns out, I was wrong, and he's still very much a part of Talion. Here, listen to this familiar voice line. Right, now I just want to hold it there for a second, because when I watched this for the first time, I thought, oh neat, you can brand enemies even when they've got a dark curse on them. Oh goodness me, was I ever wrong. That is not what he is up to. That was brutal. And that's not the only thing you can smash up with a hammer in Shadow of War. Celebrimbor also uses his fancy elven mallet to donk up a fire and set a whole heap of uruks ablaze, leading directly to the next thing we can't wait to try. Number 6, Elven Wrath mode. Have a look at this, just look at it. It's obscene. One of the new things the Ring of Power apparently allows you to do is stop time for a decent period while you turn into a full-blown murder machine. Slowing down time is nothing new, of course, there was plenty of that while using the bow in Shadow of Mordor, but this is a whole new level. Are we looking at an upgraded version of Shadow Strike Chain? It's possible, but either way, it's badass. Number 7, Super Fast Parkour. Right, have a look at Talion scaling this building. Is it me, or did he get up there in record time? It's been a while since I last played Shadow of Mordor, granted, but I do not remember the parkour being that fast. Come to think of it, it looks like a Wraith ability is being used here. Perhaps you can use a tweaked version of Elven Swiftness to shimmy up vertical surfaces more quickly. That's my theory anyway. Answers in the comments, please. Number 8, changing Talion's clothes. The RPG elements on offer have apparently been expanded for Shadow of War, including the ability to give Talion some natty new clothing. As you can see from this bit of the demo, Talion has just looted a nifty new suit of Rohirrim armour. In addition to changing Talion's look, armour also has traits. As you can see here, the Rohirrim armour gives better loot drops under the right circumstances, grants poison immunity, and gives back 89 health after a successful last chance. Playing around with this stuff certainly looks like fun, although with the Steam page for Shadow of War mentioning in-app purchases, I can't help wondering if this is the part of the game in which they'll manifest themselves. Number 9, riding a drake. This is another feature I hoped would be in Shadow of War after the initial announcement, as the game's Mithril Edition statue depicted Talion riding a drake as he took on a Balrog. Happily, the gameplay reveal came good, with Talion busting a drake out of its cage and riding it around the fortress. It's certainly a spectacle, but am I alone in thinking this actually seems a bit tame? The action we've seen from Shadow of Mordor and the rest of this gameplay is really up close and personal. Riding a massive drake around at this height makes it seem oddly distant. Strange. Number 10, managing an army. Never thought I'd catch myself saying I'm looking forward to personnel management, but bear with me on this one. At the end of the Shadow of War gameplay reveal, Talion is left with a shiny new fortress and an overlord position to fill, and it's at this point you get to see your very own version of the army hierarchy screen from Shadow of Mordor, which is, frankly, awesome. Hopefully your war chiefs and captains won't spend quite as long murdering one another, but you never know. Either way, you get to decide who to promote and into what positions. Fun. And there you have it, 10 things we can't wait to try in Middle-earth Shadow of War. If there's anything we missed off the list for which you're particularly excited, let us know in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, we've got plenty more for you to watch. Do consider liking and subscribing, but really, there's no pressure. Either way, thank you for watching, and have a lovely day.
With our new overlord in place, we can upgrade the fortress, increasing its defences and enlarging the size and power of our army.